What makes a shiny Pokemon valuable? It's September 18th, 2010. The 5th generation Pokemon games just released. These games mark the introduction of the Shiny Charm, an item only obtainable when having caught every Pokemon in the National Dex, including mythical event Pokemon. It is certainly an item that is difficult to obtain, however it was able of tripling your shiny odds, all the way from 1 in 8,192 to roughly 1 in 2,731. However, back then shiny Pokemon weren't something many would spend their time searching for. In fact, many didn't even know they existed. At least when I played these games on release, given that I was a child back then, I had no idea that such Pokemon even existed. Shiny Pokemon were a complete rarity, something almost no one had, which is what they, in essence, are supposed to be, aren't they? A rarity. Fast forward to October 12th, 2013. The 6th generation Pokemon games just released, and with them the transition to 3-dimensional graphics in the mainline Pokemon games. However, not only the graphics changed. These were arguably the games in which we got the most new elements added from any gen we had gotten up until then. Things like the Fairy type, Mega Evolution, 72 new Pokemon, the best multiplayer system we've ever gotten to this date, and of course, the literal doubling of the shiny odds. All the way from 1 in 8,192 to 1 in 4,096. Of course, there were also things like horde encounters, chain fishing, and the friend safari, which helped you increase your shiny odds even further. This is where shiny Pokemon clearly started to become more common than they used to be. I mean, obviously you would. When you double the shiny odds and add a bunch of new ways to even further increase odds, shinies are going to be found more often. Since Generation 6, base odds haven't increased. In the newest iteration of the mainline Pokemon games, Scarlet and Violet, the chances of finding a Pokemon are still 1 in 4,096. Something has changed though. Something changed every single generation since X and Y. And that something seems to be the ubiquity of shiny Pokemon nowadays. Scarlet and Violet are the perfect example of this. I know for a fact that it is very common for people to find one or even multiple shinies during their playthrough of the game. Honestly, it might even be the case that most people experience this. For example, I absolutely speedrun these games and still manage to find a shiny. My point here is, it just feels, at least to me, that the general value of a shiny Pokemon has been steadily decreasing since Generation 6 because it feels like everyone just has so many. And that brings us back to the very first line of this video. What makes a shiny valuable? I believe this has changed a lot over time, and just with many things in life, it depends on who you ask. And honestly, that's the way it should be. The only person who should decide how much one of their shinies is worth is them alone, the owner of said shiny. And of course you can't just decide whether or not a shiny is rare or not, or if it has any kind of exclusivity to it. However, if that one shiny you got from horde hunting is valuable to you, then more power to you. It's only my opinion when I say that, to me, shinies in newer generations are worth less than older ones. It's the reason I stick to Gen 5 for shiny hunting. I find the sprites, the colors, and the sparkles to look better. I would also like the 1 in 8,000 shiny odds to make a comeback, however unlikely that may be. After all, the shiny hunting community absolutely exploded once the odds were lowered, because the barrier of entry just sunk so much. There was less dedication needed for anyone to find themselves a shiny companion. If we look at what Game Freak wants to make shinies valuable, this seems to have changed after Gen 6. It's still, in a way, the exclusivity of having one, but it's more accessible. This is a general trend of the Pokemon franchise. The games are more and more being built around the idea of appealing to as many people as possible. Presumably, 1 in 8,000 are odds most people would be scared of. The moral of the story here is that no one but yourself can decide how much your shinies are worth to you. Don't let anyone ruin or change how you feel about them, because your experience with them is unique, and that's what makes shinies and Pokemon in general so special. So just keep hunting shinies, old gen or new, whatever floats your boat. Anyways, I want to know your perspectives. Be sure to let me know. And other than that, have a good rest of your day.